Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica Morehouse and this channel is about all things money. And in this video specifically, we're going to dive into a topic I have never explored on this channel or probably even on my blog, even on my podcast. Yeah, I really have never talked about this specific theme. We're going to be talking about thematic investing, which means jumping on megatrends by way of investing in innovation ETFs. I know, a lot of jargon I just said in one very short sentence, but it's okay. We're gonna unpack it all in this video. This video is sponsored by BMO ETFs, which means we're gonna dive into some of their innovation ETFs, see what's going on, and really explore if you are a boring old index investor like myself, why would you invest in some very different type of ETF? How can you integrate this into your current portfolio? We're going to talk about all of that in this video, so buckle up. We're going to have some fun. Let's get to it. So if you're not super familiar with BMO ETFs, honestly, there's a good chance you are actually investing in some of their ETFs because they are a major ETF provider in Canada. They actually have 29% of the market share. And also they have 148 ETFs. So yeah, they've got a lot going on. And honestly, if you are using one of the robo-advisors or maybe you have your own DIY portfolio, there's a very good chance you are investing already in one of their ETFs. But I'm going to be talking specifically about their innovation ETFs. These are specific niche ETFs that are basically following megatrends and to kind of capture a certain segment that may not be represented in your index ETFs like I am. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. But if you want to learn more about BMO ETFs and the topic at hand, and also anything about ETFs, really, they have a really great website, lots of great resources. You can go to bmogam.com or check out bmoetfs.com. I will link them in the description of this video, so make sure to check that out. Okay, so let's get to the topic at hand. What is thematic investing? What is a megatrend? What is an innovation ETF? What are all of these things and why should I care? So thematic investing, basically thematic investing means taking a look at the market and identifying megatrends and then investing in companies that fit that megatrend profile. Now, megatrends are basically trends that are on a very large scale, mega, obviously, that are going to have a huge impact on businesses, companies, industries around the world in the future. So things like, climate change, smart technology, healthcare. There's so much innovation going on in healthcare, obviously, with the world going on right now. So those things could be megatrends. Now, because megatrends can be so powerful, it is obvious why portfolio managers and retail investors like you and me want to kind of jump on the bandwagon, find out what these companies and industries are so we can invest in them early at their early stages so we can then in the future benefit from all of their growth. Now, it's also a big reason why I actually like thematic investing specifically is because this form of investing is long-term investing. It is in it for the long term. And I am a big buy and holder. That's why I like passive investing, because it's all about long-term thinking and not worrying about the ups and downs throughout the year of the market. It's really about investing in these companies at their early stages, holding on and being patient, and eventually seeing the kind of fruits of your labor in the future. So that is what thematic investing is. That is what megatrends are. So you may guess that innovation ETFs are simply exchange-traded funds that are built to capture those megatrends in a single investment product while making them accessible to retail investors like you and me and making them liquid and cost efficient. So now you may be wondering, why would I invest in these, or how can I integrate them into my existing portfolio? What are the benefits to doing this? Well, the kind of benefits of investing in these innovation ETFs is growth and diversification. I don't know why I use both hands, but here we are. So let's first talk about how one would integrate this into their existing portfolio. So like I mentioned, I've got a core portfolio of index ETFs. How could I also invest in these? Well, what you may not know is I do this kind of setup for my investments. I have a core portfolio. I also have a satellite portfolio. It is a portfolio that is completely separate from my core portfolio. And again, my core portfolio is for my investment goal of retirement. My satellite portfolio is, the goal really is just like general wealth building. It is kind of just fun money. I am not investing any more money that I would feel comfortable losing. So it is really just kind of for fun and just kind of experimentation. Inside that core portfolio, I'm investing in, individual stocks, but also some innovation ETFs that I hope will continue to grow more than the, returns of a broad market index. Now for me, how I set it up specifically is, so one thing that you can do that I don't do is you can just allocate a specific percentage to your overall portfolio for your satellite portfolio. So that could look like 5 to 10%. I would say don't really do more than 10% in my view. For me, I actually don't do that. So I have a little setup that is actually dollar based. I give myself basically a budget. So it's like a fun money investing budget that I give myself every year. And then when I get that money, I can kind of do whatever I want, but I have that limit and I have to stay within it. So I have kind of that specific plan and that specific guideline. It keeps me, grounded. And also it really does prevent me from going crazy, hopping on some trends, really regretting it because maybe I spent too much money. Now talking a bit about the benefits of this type of investing in innovation ETFs. Well, the big benefit obviously is potential growth. You are investing in these companies at their early stages, and hopefully over time, you hold on to them for a long time, you will be able to see that growth. I mean, just think of some of the companies that I bet we all kick ourselves for not investing in early, like Shopify or Tesla or Apple, all of these companies that I really wish I did, and now they're just very expensive to buy. So this is one way to invest in those types of companies or those types of megatrends early on. Hold on to them for a while and then see that growth. Now, in addition to growth, another big benefit, of course, is added diversification to your portfolio. Now, diversification, we know that means investing in different companies, industries, sectors. So you're spreading your money around. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket. But even if you are invested in broad market index funds, you may not be exposed to some of the different companies that are, up and coming companies, or even certain industries that are represented in these innovation ETFs. So it could give you some added exposure to companies and industries that you wouldn't have been invested in otherwise. And another thing to think about, and this is a big benefit of ETFs in general, is the cost efficiency. I mean, not only are the MERs on these ETFs actually quite low for what they are, but also they give you exposure to all these different companies and industries. Whereas if you're trying to buy all of the different stocks of all the companies represented in these innovation ETFs, it would be very expensive. Not all of us have that kind of money floating around. So buying an ETF where you can invest in all of them for a much lower share price is actually pretty beneficial. Now, one thing I want to mention before I dive deep into some of these innovation ETFs that you should know about is what to avoid. So if you are in, say, a broad market index ETF portfolio, it's really important to understand what are the actual companies that you are already investing in. Are any of those companies in some of these innovation ETFs? And what will it mean if you then invest in this innovation ETF? Well, it ultimately means you're going to be probably overweight in certain companies. And we obviously don't necessarily want to do that because that really doesn't help you in terms of diversification. The whole point is to invest in something different than what you're already invested in. Okay, so with all that said, let's dive into some of these specific ETFs. So we are going to look at their MERs, what companies are in there, what kind of benchmarks are they trying to replicate, all of that really important stuff, so we can see, okay, what are these ETFs about and do they actually make sense for me to add them to my portfolio? The first ETF I want to take a look at is ZFIN. It is BMO's Fintech Innovation Index ETF. So as you can see, the big benefits, of course, are designed for investors looking for growth solutions. So if you're looking for a growth ETF, here is one. But this one specifically will give you exposure to the global megatrend of fintech innovation. So let's take a look at some of the important info you should know about ZFIN. So the current net assets under management is just over 8 million. The closing market price, and this was May 14th, was $26.67. So, much more cost efficient than trying to buy all the individual stocks in this fund. And of course, always important to pay attention to fees. Management expense ratio, the MER is 0.45%. So obviously a little bit more expensive than your typical index ETF where you can, see, 0.08%. But again, this is a niche ETF, so it's not a big surprise. This is a very new fund, so we're not going to have a ton of information on it, and it only launched on January 20th, 2021. So let's take a look at its holdings, which is kind of the most interesting part. So as you can see, it's mainly stocks and then a little bit of cash. There are 159 holdings, so 159 companies in this ETF. And again, here's the total net assets, just over 8 million. As you can see at the top of the list, we got PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, Apple, because they have Apple Pay, Amazon, Nvidia, Salesforce, etc., and a ton of other companies. Obviously, there's like over 100. So you can take a look at all of those and the different weightings. Actually, speaking of weightings, as you can see, so this particular ETF has been designed to replicate to the extent possible this particular index, and the fund captures this megatrend by investing in stocks that have high exposure to innovative fintech companies, and it invests in and holds the constituent securities of the index in the same proportion as they are reflected in the index. That means if you're to look at this index, basically this fund is trying to replicate the weightings of all these different companies. So that's what they're trying to do. So this is one fund to take a look at, but another one is BMO's Genomic Innovation Index ETF, ZGEN. So similarly, can give you some growth, also gives you that exposure to the global megatrend of genomic innovation. And let's take a look at some of its details. Net assets under management, just over 7 million. Closing price on May 14th was $25.31. Similar MER 0.45%. And again, it just launched in January. So it is very, very new. Let's take a look at holdings. So it has 196 holdings, mainly stocks, a little bit of cash. And as you can see, no big surprise, the biggest holdings are Wuxi, Illumina, Moderna, and anything else I recognize? Honestly, no. I don't know anything about this particular theme. So you can take a look and, of course, go view more to see all of the different holdings. That's why I love ETFs because they're so transparent. There's no guessing what's actually in the fund. You can find everything. Of course, you can also find the sector. This is healthcare, obviously 100% healthcare. And it also shows you the different countries. So it's mainly the US, and then a little bit China, a little bit Switzerland, then Germany, and then tiny little bit everybody else. Now, there's no real information in performance because it is brand new. So you can't really find, there's no information here. So that is something that you're going to have to take a look at over time. And if this video is a bit older, then there'll probably be more stats. Let's take a look at this other ETF, ZINT. It's BMO's Next Generation Internet Innovation Index ETF. So it will give you exposure to the global megatrend of internet innovation. And similarly, it is trying to replicate a particular index and fund invests and holds constituent securities of the index in the same proportion. That is how it determines its weightings of those different companies. Going down here, again, similar MER. Let's look at the holdings. So it has 219 different holdings and total net assets under management, 5.6 million. As you can see here, we've got a lot of familiar things. So I feel like this particular ETF, you might already be investing in lots of these companies if you're already in, certain index ETFs like Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Amazon. Those are, Alphabet. Those are big players in lots of those index ETFs. So I'm going to say there's probably some duplication there. And here's another one, ZAUT. It is BMO's Tech and Industrial Innovation Index ETF. Gives you exposure to the global megatrend of autonomous technology and industrial innovation. MER, I think they're probably all going to be that, quite honestly. But it's always good to check. And for the holdings, as you can see here, number of holdings, 233. Total net assets under management, 5.4 million. And a lot of familiar faces. Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon. We've got so many familiar stocks, but I think what you might be interested more in, because again, I'm going to say most of these, you're going to probably already be investing in these, and some of your index ETFs is probably some of the ones that have the smaller weighting. So you're like, oh yeah, I'm definitely not invested in lots of these different companies. Again, there's over 200 companies that are in this ETF. This is actually pretty interesting. This is ZCLN. This is a BMO Clean Energy Index ETF. This is designed for investors looking to align sustainable and responsible values with their investments and also exposure to the global megatrend of clean energy. So going down here, as you can see, the net assets under management is actually quite a bit bigger. It's 43 million and a lower MER, 0.4%. But looking at the holdings, it's a smaller ETF, only 77 holdings, which makes sense because this is a very specific niche, clean energy. This might be one that you want to take a look at because it may, lots of these companies may not be in your broad market index ETF. But again, if this is something that's very important to you or you really believe in clean energy, I mean, I do, because I believe that is kind of the route we need to go for our future, this might be a very interesting ETF. Again, you get exposure to all of these different companies, 77 companies, and again, lots of different sectors, which is interesting. And oh, look, it's mainly United States, but then Denmark, New Zealand. Oh, we got Canada in there. That's kind of nice. So definitely take a look at this one, especially if you want to kind of add some more sustainability into your portfolio. And last but not least, I want to take a look at ZINN. It's BMO's Innovation Index ETF. So as you can see, it gives you exposure to global megatrends and disruptive innovations. It's kind of a catch-all for all of those ETFs that I just showed you, minus clean energy. So going down here, as you can see, same MER, 0.45%. But as it shows you this ETF, it will give you exposure to the following disruptive innovation themes: autonomous technology and industrial, genomics, fintech, and next generation internet. So if you want to, instead of getting all of these individual ETFs, if you want exposure to all of those companies, you can just get this one ETF that has everybody all in there. And let's go to the holdings. It has 237 holdings, and here's all of those holdings. In terms of weightings, the portfolio strategy here says that it is trying to replicate, to the extent possible, the MSCI ACWI IMI Innovation Index, and the fund invests in and holds the constituent securities of the index in the same proportion as they are reflected in that index. So as you can see, the kind of top guys are Amazon, Visa, MasterCard, Microsoft, PayPal. Again, it's so important to take a look at what you're currently invested in, because guaranteed you're already invested in lots of these companies, but some of the ones with the smaller weightings, you probably aren't. Okay, so I hope you found that helpful. Again, I'm going to link to all of the different ETFs that I mentioned in the description for this video, so you can take a look yourself. Also, make sure to go to bmogam.com or bmoetfs.com for more information on all the different ETFs that BMO offers. Again, a big thank you to BMO ETFs for sponsoring this video. A few things I want to mention before I let you go, just some reminders. Before investing in any of these innovation ETFs or jumping on the thematic investing bandwagon, it is so important to have an investment plan. So for me, my investment plan, that involves, knowing what my specific investment goal is, knowing what my personal risk tolerance is, what my goal amount is, my time horizon, all these different things. And then also having a specific setup for this type of investing. So for example, like I shared, I have a core portfolio for my index funds, and then I have a satellite portfolio that I can do whatever the heck I want with. And these innovation ETFs would fit into that satellite portfolio. Another thing to remember is these are niche ETFs, and with that there is more volatility, there is more risk. Obviously there's potential for more growth, but it's so important again to know what your personal risk tolerance is and stay within it, and don't invest more money than you are willing to lose, or again you're willing to take the downs with the ups. And lastly, remember, thematic investing, these innovation ETFs, they are long-term investments. The whole point is investing early and seeing them grow. It's not about getting rich quick, it is about getting rich slowly. So be patient, buy and hold and just wait, because again, this is a long game. You just gotta stay in it. So hopefully you liked this video. Make sure to like it if you did. And if you want to see more videos like this, well, make sure to subscribe, and also let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions or ideas for future videos, make sure to let me know in the comments, and yeah, we'll have a little chat there. I want to know, are you investing in any of these innovation ETFs? What are your thoughts on them? So that is it for me. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you again very soon in my next video.